warming. So have you seen any of the effects of global warming firsthand at all?
I have, yeah, I have. And I would say Mongolia was where I saw it the most. So on all of my journeys, I've been partnering up with like the WWF or environmental organizations, conservation. And that came from Mongolia in 2013. And so due to the winter being so much harsher now because of climate change in the outbacks, in the wild of Mongolia, pretty much the livestock where the nomads live are dying off. So the nomads aren't able to sustain their way of life out in the countryside. So they find themselves migrating or moving over to the capital city, Ulaanbaatar, to look for work. But they live in their white gurs, you know, their sort of yurts, their white felt tents. And now there's this gur district, like a huge district of white felt tents surrounding the capital city. And of course, it's the coldest capital city in the world. It drops to -30, -40 degrees Celsius. They're in their tent. They have to stay warm. So to stay warm, they burn anything they can get their hands on, to include a heck of a lot of plastic. And so now in the winter, you'll find a lot of people will try to escape the city in the winter because there's this big smog that lies over the capital city. And due to this, new births are lasting 2-3 days before they suffocate. And so there's a lot of newborns just dying 2-3 days after being born. And the only advice the doctor can give is evacuate the city. And so what I was doing, I was trying to raise awareness about that because it's surprisingly a story that not many people know of. And I was also raising funds for a charity, and these funds would be placed in finding or building shelter for the livestock to obviously shelter in during the harsh winter conditions, and extra thermal for the tents to allow the nomads to survive. And so that was really hard hitting. That was strictly and straight right in front of your eyes down to global warming. You know, the summer's getting hotter, the winter's getting colder, nomads not being able to survive how they've survived for thousands upon thousands of years. And then now move into the capital city to look for food because they have to survive, and they have to find food, and they have to stay warm, so they burn what they can. And that's causing more death. So it's a crazy, crazy place to be in the winter. So I've noticed that. I've noticed more fires in Madagascar. I actually had to scramble and run out from the forest fire. There was a fire in the canopy behind us. Had to pick up our bags, and we were physically running from a forest fire, which was insane. And that was killing off so many beautiful species. You know, 80% of all plant life and wildlife found in Madagascar is found nowhere else in the world, which makes it, you know, the most unique country in the world. And of course, they're trying to expand the national parks. They're trying to provide the locals with better education, better means of work. But the forest fires continue to happen. The pollution continues, you know, the mass destruction from the locals sort of doing anything they can, hunting lemur to get paid. And so, you know, they're having a hard time, but I like to focus on the positives. They are doing amazing. And then, of course, with China, going from the wild, wild west, if you like, the Yangtze River all the way to the east, and seeing the mass difference between the urban and the wilderness. But it was actually fairly positive with China. You know, I saw loads of wind farms being assembled, lots of solar panels. The Yangtze River has the finless porpoise dolphin, and it's always been on the decrease since recent times because of pollution. But only recently, in the last few years, the number has started to steady because the Yangtze is getting cleaner, and it will soon be on the increase again. So positives as well, but so the right things are being done, but there's still a long way to go. But yeah, I have effectively seen it firsthand in all 3 places that I've taken on the big expeditions.